So if I click here, add single site, a pop-up will appear, and this is all of the information that you will need to add in order to bring a site into the tool to then start assessing. So we start with the company name. There's a drop down here of all of the companies you've already added within your personal portfolio manager. Now, we just added company A together. There was no other company that we added, so the drop down is pretty short. We have company A here. We'll select this. Now for the site name, we have to have a unique site name. So this is really how the tool distinguishes between the different sites. So we will have to have a unique site name. So I'm going to call this test site webinar right now. So this is the unique site name for the site we're about to add. Then you will have to add an industry. Now, both the water risk filter and the biodiversity risk filter are basing the risk assessments on a distinction of 25 different industry sectors. So you can, again, you have a pre-formulated drop down here, and you can peruse those sectors, those industries, and see which one you would like to add. In this case, let me add offices and professional services here in industry. Now, commodity is optional. We have a couple of commodities in here just for agricultural plant commodities. That is really a way of kind of subgrouping the agricultural plant sector, but it's optional, so I'm going to leave it out because it also doesn't pertain to the sector I have selected here, offices and professional services. While we are at the topic of grouping, we have here again the groups. They're optional. You don't have to choose any group for your site, but if you click on it, you will actually see all the groups that we have just seen in our portfolio manager, including the one we had just added. So in this case, I'm going to choose let's say sales and retail that fits with the offices and professional services. But again, this is optional. You don't have to choose any for this. Then what you do have to choose is business importance. So how important is the site that you're about to put into the tool for your value chain? If you have any questions on what to fill out into these different boxes, there's also always these little question marks here next to the heading, and it gives you a little bit more of information of what we're trying to get at with these different inputs here. So here, for example, an explanation for this is the economic importance of a specific company location or site in relation to the overall value chain. So in this case, I'm going to choose medium. But this is something that you will have to work with a company that you're working with to assess what is the business importance for each site. Now, lastly, we have to put in the location data. In the single site adding pop-up that we're seeing here, this is relatively easy because you can put in any location in this little space bar. And I'm going to put in Berlin right now because that is where I'm located currently. And you can see here that then the map automatically goes into the center point of whatever geography you've put in. So in this case, you can see Berlin here, but actually my office, I can drag this little tooltip here all the way to, let's say, our WF main office, which is about to, or WF Germany main office that is about to be located here. So you can just move this around to the actual location of where whatever site you have is located. Now, there's a couple of caveats for the location. If I zoom out here, we have in the biodiversity risk filter also marine data, but water, because the water risk filter, because it's focused on fresh water, obviously would only have an assessment for the terrestrial areas. So if you, for example, have your tooltip and you drag it here into the North Sea, you will only have analysis data for biodiversity. That is also, again, noted down here, just for your information. Furthermore, if you're adding a site in the marine areas, it also has to have a sector or an industry that is feasible for marine areas. Well, offices and professional services isn't really feasible to be at a marine site. So if we're trying to add this, we're actually going to get a error notice that for this location, this industry is not applicable. last but not least, we have a couple of no data areas. So for example, Antarctica is one of them. So we do not have any data for Antarctica, neither in biodiversity nor in water risk filter. So if you would put your site into Antarctica, you would get the same error message. However, if you're in a terrestrial area, you will be able to get both biodiversity and water risk analysis. So again, you zoom into the center location of your geography that you're putting in, and you can move the tooltip around, and then it auto fills out the latitude and longitude of your location up here. Now everything should be fine, filled in, and we can add now our site. Our test site webinar. And again, here, this page now completely changes from having no data in it at all. We're going into this really full page where we have our test site now, the test site webinar. It belongs to company A, that's what we selected, into offices and professional services, and all of the other information in here. And now we could already start with analyzing biodiversity, analyze water,